this topic, as you all know, I'll not spend time. So I will give it two examples. So why I have taken these two examples? So what happened? There is often some kind of a clamor that we need in academia. It's completely full of left. You need some right person or something like that. And then people say, well, these are the non-Marx, these are not Marxist persons. One is Ramchandra Go and P.V. Mehta, and they are called non-Marxist persons, and they are non-left. So we are highlighting them. So I'm not criticizing these persons or I'm not talking anything about them, but I'm trying to understand their thought process, from which idea, from which ideology they have got their thoughts. So Ramchandra Guha, he calls himself lapsed communist, lapsed Marxist. He calls himself almost a Gandhian person, right? And this is a tweet from him, and he was celebrating that he was taking beat. Now, of course, it's his personal preference what he will eat. I have nothing to say on that. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at Gandhiji, Gandhiji was against cow slaughter, and it is Gandhiji's insistence in Indian Constitution. There is a directive, I think Article 48, that has been inserted that says basically the government will put effort to stop and end to cow slaughter. So what I'm not criticizing his food choice, but I'm trying to say that this ideology is not Gandhian. If he is taking this beef and celebrating it. So he calls himself Gandhian, but that's not where his ideology is coming from. It is actually a very much what I will discuss here is a cultural Marxist where food taboos are wrong and cultural understandings are not considered good. Another person is Pratap Bhanu Mehta, and see, he said that he wrote it, and this is a direct quote from him. So he said when it was a agitation against this CAA, this CAA Act, Citizenship Amendment Act. So he wrote it. The direction is going to be set by mob. So basically, people, if they do by brute power, I would say violence, and that is all right. That is all right. That actually something better than legal or philosophical part. So I grew up in Bengal, and there's a Naxalism there, and the Naxalists used to say that the power flows from the barrel of a gun. So basically, you need to have a gun, and that's kind of all right thing. So that is what is kind of similar things are coming on, and these people are noted for as non-left in Indian media. But actually, even though they are non-left, they are all their ideologies are very much pretty leftist and Marxist. So I will try to explain the difference of these ideas and their similarities with left, and that is what the topic today: cultural Marxism. So if you, many of us have studied science, and we know that all the species of science, they are divided in groups and subgroups. So there is a big family called the cat family, Puma, they call it related, right? And this cat family, tigers and cheetah and other species are all there, right? So that is a big family, and cat is only a part of it. Similarly, these are the ideologies which are kind of same category. One of them is Marxism, the others are liberalism, queer theory, intersectionality, radical feminism, postmodernism, critical race theory. And what is the similarity in all of them? Right, in the cat family, there is some family basically they are limbs of certain kind, and their posture to water and other things are certain kind. So the biologists they know about it. So there is a lot of similarity between them. What is the similarity? Like he said already, it is basically they divide the society into two classes. Marx used to say there is a class struggle. He used to say, right? So the rich, or bourgeois, one class, and the proletariat, the poor, is another class, and they will be fighting among themselves. That's the view of the society. So this promotes a constant source of violence in the society, constant source of dissatisfaction. People are just trying to seek revenge. That's it. The life has no other purpose but to seek revenge. that does not lead to a good life for anyone. And that same ideologies are promoted here. If you look at this critical race theory that is in popular thing in America, they say blacks and whites must be fighting each other, and they are all opposed to each other. They must be fighting. If you look at queer theory, it says that transgenders, they are oppressed by the society. So transgenders should fight and the society. And actually, there is a shooting that happened 1 2 weeks ago in America. One transgender person came with guns and killed many people. And the grievance, this was because he has a grievance with society. So these grievances, this outburst of violence are actually sought as legitimate because of these theories are taught in the society. In America, it has divided the society. Similarly, there's a radical feminism. So there is one thing about women empowerment and other things. But this radical feminism, they seek basically the women and men, they are fighting each other. And instead of doing something productive, they must oppose each other in other ways. Again, this is not a very productive thing for anyone. Similarly, there is also liberalism, and there is also political ideas of liberalism. That has one of them is called majoritarianism. That basically says the majority is kind of guilty and the minorities are kind of oppressed. So they must fight each other. So whatever happens, it is the majority which is kind of guilty and the minority must fight them. Again, it creates a kind of atmosphere of conflict. When we look forward to India or as a nation or as a civilization, or we look forward to the world as a whole, what we should have a less violence, right? This is our Indian idea of ahimsa, that we have to create a more harmonious society. We should not have hingsha, and that is a deep process. It cannot come one day. It requires a lot of sadhana, tapasya, right? We have to do a lot of penances within us so that our heart is full of, we drive the hingsha out of our heart. But these ideologies, they say other way. They said promote hingsha because that is the pragati, that is the progress. That is what they say, and that is what they have in common. So, except Marxism, the other things are not related to money or your economic status. That's why I am calling them cultural Marxism. But they are a kind of similar, same to as Marxism. Yeah. Um, Now, I'll just go over a little bit of history to understand. So, what happened in Soviet Union? We all know that they are the first communist nation or state created in Soviet Union. Then there's a lot of atrocities going on in Soviet Union. Many people, by many I mean millions, many, almost more than crore, many crores actually. People were sent to Siberia, where they left a very difficult life. People have to work from morning say 5 to night 11 with very little food and everything. And it was the entire nation became like a prison house. This was came to light. There are many American, Russian writers who took it up. I've given the most prominent one. One of them is Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He wrote this book, One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. And this book got Nobel Prize in 1961. I think Solzhenitsyn could not go because there was some opposition in his country, so he could not go there. But yeah, so that this book became very popular, and then he made another book, the Gulag Archipelago. So Gulag Archipelago is basically the part of Siberia where the prison camps are there, and then he went to many people there and took interviews. And so this is a very big project. He has taken 5 years, and then it was done. So this happened because all these things he documented happened in the time of Stalin, and there is a next person after Stalin was Nikita Khrushchev. And Nikita Khrushchev started some kind of anti-Stalin movement. So these books could come out at least, but there are many other books that was banned and other things. But in spite of that, so this thing came to Europe. Now, if you look at Europe, basically Europe was very much communist that time. All the academic places, they are very communist. But they were opposed to kind of a violence that happened in Russian Revolution and other times, Bolshevik Revolution and other times. So basically, they were trying to get a peaceful understanding of communism. But these books, they shook them. It was there in a shock what is happening that Russia, which is supposed to be for more equal human rights for all, and so much atrocities are happening, millions of people are perishing. So there is a deep hatred for deep disdain, I would say, for totalitarianism that was growing in Europe because it was happening in Europe and communist economic system is also collapsing. What happened in the 1980s? What happened that Russia, USSR rather, they used to produce 20% more electricity, but they used to get the total amount of material was less than USA. So economic systems are very inefficient. And we know that Mikhail Gorbachev, he found that and he started reform, this glasnost and perestroika, so that the system could be salvaged. So what happened in this atmosphere, cultural Marxism became very popular in Europe. Before, the cultural Marxist means a very shallow kind of Marxist who was kind of gives a lip service to Marxism, but he does not do anything concrete for Marxism. And real Marxists are not cultural Marxists, they are real Marxists. But now things become different. Now cultural Marxists became the mainstream of Marxism, and this has what has started to infest America and Europe from 1980s and 90s. And now they have taken up over the completely America. America is basically run by cultural Marxists now. Uh, so this party, Democrat Party, I mean, whoever sets the agenda, they are essentially cultural Marxists. So I'll talk about the birth of cultural Marxism. I mean, he already made my job much simpler. So Gramsci, he was a prisoner. He was an Italian communist, and he was in prison. And he wrote a lot of things. So he said that Marx said that we have to first change the economic system, and then everything will be solved. But we will not do that. There's another way, and that way is create hatred, create disdain for own culture in the minds of people. If you create hatred and disdain for everybody, then people get very upset about their own society. And then you can take over the society, you can destroy the institution, and you can then do whatever you want to do. This is exactly his point. So this hegemony and other things, he says the original things has to be destroyed. So basically, the idea was to take over education, media, social activism, civic society. He was telling, and popular pop culture. All these things has to be taken over systematically, so that the alternative ideas are not there. And then what happens? Gramsci died in prison, but these ideas were taken up by one school. This was started by a Marxist legal academician. So this becomes the German Frankfurt School, and this is the Max Horkheimer, and then Theodor Adorno, and then there is a Jürgen Habermas. So these people are from that Frankfurt School. This school actually was the birthplace of all these ideas, which nowadays called liberalism. Why liberalism? So they say that people are very upset with communism. So they say, no, we are not Marxists, we are liberals. But all their ideas actually comes from Marx only. Same framework, same family. Now what happens in Nazi Germany? Hitler, he was an anti-Semitic policies, and all the Jews were expelled. Now many of the people in this Frankfurt school were Jews, and they had to leave Germany. And we all know, we have seen the movie Oppenheimer, right? And it has shown also how the scientists were kind of thrown out of Germany. Same happened here. So this whole, I think I don't know. I don't know. He has a disciple, Herbert Marcuse. Herbert Marcuse, he went to Harvard, and there he formed something called critical social theory. It was actually Horkheimer who actually defined the critical theory in 1937. But he kind of narrated the theory as critical social theory. This critical social theory, there is another Frenchman, Jacques Derrida. He came there in Harvard, and from that critical theory, he developed what he call postmodernism. And then, same branch of theory, there is a person called Sheldon Pollock. He writes on Hinduism and other things, Sanskrit. So Sheldon Pollock says that basically the Holocaust that Nazis have done, the real reason is not Nazis, real reason is Sanskrit language. So these kind of very shallow kind of things he writes, very I would say very with a deep agenda. to destroy us. And his disciple is Audrey Truskey, and we know Audrey Truskey, many of us. She has written a book saying that Aurangzeb is essentially is a normal person, and all these kind of sorts of things she writes. So you can see, right, how is it coming? So all these things is coming from this Frankfurt school, and this is the cultural Marxism, right? So this idea, so the idea of them is basically to take over media, academia, and population, pop culture. Um, so now what happened that all the European left, they actually moved out of the communism. So real communist party. So for example, Great Britain, there is a big party, CPGB, Communist Party of Great Britain, which was very authentic communist party. And there are other communist parties also. But these communist parties become more marginal now. And there is some kind of a social democratic parties, the left wing parties. They are taking the agenda of communism, and they kind of took up everything. So this, in America, there is this ideology of intersectionality. So intersectionality, this says you cannot look at a person as an individual. So in Hinduism, we say that there is a Brahma, or there is a God inside all of us, an Atman inside all of us, and that Atman is very sacred. But these cultural Marxists, they say that you cannot say, you cannot see a person as an individual. A person has to be seen. Suppose I am a Bengali, it has to be say Bengali. If I have done, I have to say this guy is a rich. You have to say, yeah, this guy is an upper caste. So all these attributes has to be used. You cannot ever talk about the person itself. So that is what the idea is. And so that means if I have some fight with another of you, so for example, I have many friends in Kerala, and I am some of my good friends, very good friends are from Malayalis and other things. But suppose I have a fight with one of you, it will be not shown as a fight between me and him. It will be shown a fight between Bengali and Malayali. So that means any small fight can be augmented to group identities and create problem in the society. Create problem in the society, and that is what is happening in America. All these small issues. So there is we know this is a Black Lives Matter movement. Black Lives Matter movement happened. So essentially, there is a one criminal. I mean, he did many crimes. He was in jail, and he was killed by police. I am not supporting it. That was wrong. What has happened, but that was not rare. Those kind of killings of whites also happen regularly. And so there are many scholarly studies that has shown that blacks are not killed more than whites. They are also whites are also killed like that by police violence equally. And but then because in this case the policeman was white and the person was black, so there is a big unrest that happened in America, because it is apparently a white versus black issue, not a aggressive police versus aggressive criminal issue. It is only a police white versus black issue, and that is why the entire society got so fractured. So this is happening in everywhere, and this is killing their society. Why I am saying America, I am more interested about India. I'll come to there. But let's first see what has it done to America, which is a leading power. Now it has lost a lot of its power. So in, one of the cultural Marxist agendas is to stop the families. So families are not, they don't like families. So the idea is you have to capture the public space. Whatever we say in the outside, we cannot say everything. We have to say much thought and everything. But in family, people are more free. They express themselves freely, and that is they don't like, because if people express themselves freely, then they will develop their own understanding of the world. They will not go by the cultural Marxist theories. So this is why the family has to be killed. That's the agenda, and that is why there is a systematic movement that they want. So in America, many are mostly in the blacks, but also in the whites. Many girls in their teenage, 14, 15, 16, they get pregnant. That's a social problem. But instead of this solving the problem, what these progressives said, they said, okay, let's not say that is bad. Teenage pregnancy is all right, sort of like all right. there is no problem for that. The child has to be given all support. The person cannot be said that this is not understandable. So what is happening? One teenage mother giving birth to another child. Now this person is poor. She has to work. So basically, she cannot give any time. And normally, this kind of teenage pregnancies, there is no marriage. The father doesn't is not absent, and the child grows up in a very disturbed household, and often they grow up to again be another teenage pregnant mother or a criminal. And so this perpetuates poverty among the blacks. So even though this ideology says we are in favor of blacks and disadvantaged people, actually it actually creates bad environment for them, because it does not address the basic issues. Like we need human beings, we need family to grow up, right? How many of us could have been here if our family would have not grown up like this? Right? I mean, would have been lost, right? So that same thing is happening there. Uh, and then basically, if you look at any statistics, the children born out of married couples, they are much better in social outcome. But that is not. But still, they don't promote marriage, and there's a lot of issue. Laws are kind of coming, which makes marriage much more unstable. Um, and basically the role of family as a cultural shaping the child is also undermined. So schools are becoming more and more powerful, daycares are becoming powerful, but family is becoming powerless. And in India also it is happening, but in America it has happened to an extreme extent. So in the corona times, a lot of the kids, because they are at home, so there's a lot of violence, lot of problem. It happened there, much more than what we have done here. But we have also done a lot at this all. But and that actually the skills, the writing skills and everything in America fallen very sharply. So it is actually showing how less control now the family has on the outcome of the child, because the institutions are very much broken. Now I'm very sorry to show you the next slide. I didn't want to show you, but without this slide, I will not be able to make you understand the true amount of harm it is doing to American society. So these are text pages from textbooks for 5 year, 6 year, 8 year, 10-year-old children in America. Extremely sexualized content, and that is being shown to them in the name of promoting queer theory and other things. Um, they actually provoke children to sex change operations. So basically, it is not very uncommon for little children to be curious about the clothes of other gender and other things, right? And they say, well, these children may want to do sex change, do a sex change operation. So 12-year-old children, even 5-year-old children, 3-year-old children in some rare cases, but a lot of cases, 12-year-old children, they are going to sex change operation. Um, we don't know how the outcome will be for them. There's a lot of cases that did not go well. Um, and what is happening in the higher education, universities, they have become like more I would say secular seminaries. So there are Christian seminaries where they preach how to do Christianity and everything. And the Western education system, long time ago, it was like that. But what is happening in America universities, one doctrine is preached, this cultural Marxist, neoliberalism, progressism. They don't say cultural Marxism, because Marx has become not so good word now. They call it neoliberalism, they call it progressism, but this doctrine is preached everywhere. And because they preach this doctrine, but so other kind of point of views cannot are not tolerated at all. If you go in a university, so America was a country of free speech where you can give your talk and other things. Now you can't, because if you go, protesters will come, they will say, we will not tolerate it. And the college administration, very suitably, they will not take any legal action. They say that, well, there is problem with the speech of this person, let's not have this speech. So only one kind of speech is allowed. In the curriculum, only one kind of thinking is allowed. Others are not allowed. If you are trying to do your PhD on academics, then you cannot say anything else. If you say anything else, that PhD will not be accepted. So there is a extreme deterioration. It is happening in social science, psychology, these domains. Where in science, there is a issue of technicality, but technology, where you cannot stop too much. But then, even then, we know a lot of the issues, strange things scientists said during the corona times and other things. Yeah, but in social science, the entire domain is has become a seminary. It's like the doctrine has to be said as true, and nothing can be said otherwise. And you can see the effect also on the textbooks. Parents are very sad about it. Um, Again, they are told all these kind of things. I'll just show you the headlines. You can read it up. These libraries, school libraries, they are full of this kind of content. So school libraries, the books like the classical books that we used to read, Mark Twain and Jonathan Swift, Gulliver Travels and other things, they are sort of not liked because they are classical, they are bad. So this critical theory, it says that whatever you come out of a classical book, that's wrong. So if you read Ramayana and if you think Ram is a good person, Ravan is a bad person, that's wrong. You have to interpret it some other way. You have to show either Ravan is good or Ram is bad. I mean, that is the only way you can do. If you do the conventional understanding, that's bad. Suppose I think we take the history textbook and without changing the names, you go to a critical theorist, you will say that Hitler was not a bad person. He was basically a good person. Yeah, Jews must be the bad person. So that kind of understanding is promoted in the name of critical theory. Yeah. So I'll just finish it up and then maybe I'll not maybe half an hour. I mean overall half an hour take and then I will go for question and answer. I'll try to highlight the main. Then public space. So you cannot say anything what is not convenient. So this cultural Marxism, just for this sake, this was a well supported term in Wikipedia in 2014. Now what happened? Wikipedia has become the articles of Wikipedia which is political connotation. They are all in the hands of a particular gang and they can do anything. Uh, you can pay them money to change some negative entries, but generally you can't do anything. Yeah, so they have now changed the pace to cultural Marxism conspiracy theory. And very funny, because if you go back, there is a Polish philosopher, very famous philosopher, he got many awards. This person, Leszek Kolakowski, he has a very seminal book. It is a very authentic book published by Oxford University Press, I think 1977, Main Currents of Marxism. There are 3 volumes. In the 3rd volume, he stated that this is Marx and then one offshoot of Marx is Gramsci and that Gramsci comes Frankfurt School and all this postmodernism and everything. Everything is written, documented. Not now, 40 years ago from today. But suddenly it becomes a conspiracy theory because they didn't want to call themselves cultural Marxists, so it becomes a conspiracy theory. And then dictionaries, overnight, who is a woman? Nobody knows. Because apparently, if I say tomorrow that I am a woman, I will become a woman. Anyone can call themselves anything, and that has become. So we know that, of course, there are some persons who are born with some sexual problems and deformations, and they are kind of they are sometimes they are oppressed. I must agree to that. But what they say that any person can become any gender, and that means they are actually creating. Before we used to say only 2 genders, and these persons are unfortunate. Now we are calling them 3 genders. But in America, the number of genders is 41 or 78, something like that. Anybody call pixel anything, and that kind of is happening. And that is dividing the society. In the name of these genders, these fictitious identities, the entire society is getting divided, and very sad ideologies are taught to young kids and spoiling their lives. Um, so there is, of course, a lot of, saying this lot of problem with this, lot of suppression. So basically, there is a famous psychologist. He is actually a professor in his business school. His name is Gerd Saar, very famous person. He was a Lebanese Jew who actually fled Lebanon when the civil war was happening in Lebanon in the 70s. And then he settled in Canada. Now, he usually talks on these kind of things. So this is from his book, The Parasitic Mind, very famous book. If you want to know all the atrocities in America, This book he has documented it, each and everything, very meticulously documented. Now, what happened? One time he was going to give a talk in some university, and they shut it down. So there is protesters who came. They set up a page and they call this person Nazi and anti-Semite. This person is a Jew, but apparently he is a Nazi and anti-Semite because he does. So basically, you can see the amount of propaganda and brainwashing that is happening in America. America, we all think they are very they are above us in some sense because they have a educated society. But because education has become a part of brainwashing, universities are full of this kind of people. And they another person who was married to a Japanese woman and he has an adopted black gay brother. He was apparently also a Nazi who hates gays. So these kind of nonsense propagandas are kind of created in America, and their freedom of speech is kind of almost lost. Um, so there is a lot of money also in behind them. I'll just let me complete it, then maybe I'll take questions and I'll explain. If you see now the Democrat to Republican percentage in 2005 in academia, 1 out of 6 was Republican. That number in a matter of 10 years is 1 is to 12, and now it has gone down further, maybe 1 is to 20. So if there are 20% from Democrats, only 1% from Republican. And they, so basically universities are respected, right? You have a new economic, new education policy, NEP, and we say we have to promote humanities thinking. Humanities thinking is good. You must have a good understanding of society. Otherwise, you know technology, but you don't have any understanding. Then you are like a robot. You kind of guided by other people by anything. That is not a bad thing. But the bad thing is humanities means nowadays it's a secular seminary. It is full of only some dogma, and we can see that that ratio has become so bad. And actually, there are many studies, and actually professors they acknowledged that, I mean, it's anonymously done, so we cannot taken legally anything. But they acknowledge if someone is not a liberal, we will not give him offer to position. Even if he is worthy, we will not give him any position. We will not give him anything because he is not a liberal. We will not allow him to come. So if you go to North Korea, if you ask 100%, do you follow their ideology? Their common name is called I think Juichi or something. North Korean socialism. Do you follow that? 100% will say yes. Because if you don't say no, you will be killed. You will be going taken to the prison camp, right? In America, the threat of career and other things is so bad. If you ask the same question in America, 93% will say yes, we follow this liberalism. Otherwise, your career will be ruined. So we can measure some amount how bad the situation is. And then you can see the editors and things. So what is the good thing about these cultural liberals? If you ask a Marxist who is an exploited person, is it a very polished, rich industrialist who has, who actually has, who actually is a very, I would say, very bourgeois lifestyle, but he is a very polished person, or is a laborer? The Marxist will say the laborer is the exploited person, oppressed person, the rich person is the oppressor. But for the cultural Marxists, other way around. They will say the rich person is not oppressed because he calls people proper pronouns. If someone calls, if I go to that person, I say I'm a woman, and that person will address me as she instead of he. So he must be a right person. And the laborer, because of coarse language, he is the oppressor because he is doing the majoritarian culture. So this ideology is very convenient for the rich people. So the rich people, richest people of the world, they promote this kind of thinking. If you look, the owner of Amazon, he was second richest, now maybe first richest. One of this Jeff Bezos, right? And this person is a liberal. And if you go to, if I go to one by one, if you go to top 10 persons, I think apart from Elon Musk and another person, all other 8 persons, either you don't know or they are liberals. So everybody has kind of accepted, and that is good for them also because they don't have any problem to their wealth and money. But that is secure because the liberals they will not go for any economic agenda of increased tax or anything like that, and that is also good for the so liberals because they also get a lot of funding from them. In the last presidential election, the right-wing Republican he got very small amount of money, one third of the Democrat, and that money came only from the labor classes. Labor people they gave the money who earn less, blue collar workers who earn less, and the capitalists they give 10 times more money to the left candidate than the right candidate. So this is the irony of this thing. So I think I'll stop one more slide. Now you might think this is too distant. This slide is not coming. So there's a picture here, but somehow it's not coming. So basically in India also, this thing is coming, ideology is coming very, very fast. Um, so there is a critical caste theory that is being promoted. In California, they have passed a law against caste, and it basically says that any Indian could be sued of a discrimination based on caste. No other nationals could be sued. Only Indians could be sued based on caste. And there is this book also came out, and left they tried to promote this book quite well. It did not go too well, but their legislation came. So basically, like there is a black and white thing fracture. They wanted to create these caste-based fractures more in Indian society and destroy it. And this is how they want to teach these things in the curriculum. Um, then there is of course this ideology of post-truth that is very goes very well in the media. So essentially, don't show the truth. Show the truth that is required to be shown. So essentially, whatever they want to show. So there is a say let's say X and Y, two communities. X is a majority community, Y is a non-majority, minority community. If you have 10 cases of Y attacking X, they will not show it because that's not good. That's not good. If there is one case of X attacking Y, they have to highlight it 10 times and show it. So this is called post-truth. And this is ideology that's actually distorting the society. So we might feel, we are all, not too many young people are here, we feel like, I mean, is the exception. But we feel like, oh well, this will not, we know what reality is. But what is happening, we did not go to university that much. At least less than the current kids are going. Nowadays, children are going. We did not take university that seriously. We know this is a means to earn some living. That's why you have to get the degree. Now these universities they are brainwashing the people. And if you go to any university campus, you see there is a perpetual anti-national, some people call it anti-national sentiment there. Why is it coming? It is coming out of these academicians and curriculum that is telling them you have to be anti-majority. So there is a picture here, it is not coming. This is an article, this came in Off India, I can share you the link. So basically there is a Tagore International School, very famous school in Delhi. And there many sexualized pictures and other things were shown in the light, like the pictures that was shown before. And this is again, it comes first Delhi, then it goes to other metros, then it comes to every town. That's how it actually affects everything. Population, pop culture is also happening. So it is the problem point is now India is a historical time of decolonization. We were a colonized nation for last almost 1,000 years. We did not have our laws. Our laws were imposed upon us by invaders. We are now trying to awaken the country. And a country cannot be awakened without the active participation of the educated class. Culture cannot be created by only by the hand to mouth workers. It has to be created by intellectuals who actually think about the glory of the society. But what is happening because of this education is coming in India or university curriculum, it is expanding. You feel like there is a right wing government in power, but if you look at the progress of curriculum in universities, last 9 years was I teach in a business school. This is considered to be most right wing academia. Even there now, left wing ideas are very dominant there. So these theories are kind of destroying. And the problem is there is no way you can counter them. because the journals and every academic outlet, they are controlled and they are very intolerant people. They will not they will not accept any other thing. Whatever they are saying, either you have to accept it or you have to get out. There is no other way. My way or the highway. Now, India, if we continue this kind of education, then we will not have the educated class with us, with the national revival. We will have a perpetual struggle. And this struggle will actually, this is, I think this is a very critical time for us. If we lose this moment to assert ourselves as an most ancient surviving civilization, we will maybe lost forever. So that's why I'm much more worried. So I'll continue. I'll stop my talk here. I'll take questions and answers, but I'll show you some resources. Rajiv Malhotra, he has taken up this issue in one of his books published last year, Snakes in the Ganga. He talks about Harvard and other issues. This is a very thick book, but this is also one resource that is there. Now, many times, many words people use, and we don't understand these words, implications. That is there, and that becomes a mainstream word. There is a dictionary created by newdiscourses.com. So here is a social justice encyclopedia, where if you go to any term, so what is there when they use the term like say diversity? It looks very nice. Well, we all want to be diverse, right? Everybody should be there. But it actually doesn't mean diversity. I'll ask you a question. How many right-wing persons are there in the sociology department? And you will see there is no diversity there. So it is actually wants a uniformity of thought. It does not want to tolerate anything, but it sells it in the name of diversity. Same is true for the other terms they use. So this is a dictionary that actually unearths. I'm an academician, so I'm just taking it in an academic way. So there is these three persons. James Lindsay, he's a mathematics PhD, but he was worried about these issues. He was born in a more liberal family actually, but he understood these issues, and he used to do menial jobs and he used to research on these things. Now he has become a very famous person. So he has given a speech on half an hour in front of the European Parliament. It is available in YouTube. You can also watch it over. He has written so many books, and these three persons, James Lindsay, Helen Pluckrose, and Peter Boghossian, they actually publish many fake papers. So this is a nonsense research paper they published in a journal, and research journal accepted it. And later they said, well, this was a completely nonsense paper, we knew it all along. So they published not one, two, maybe 7, 8 such papers. And then, so it shows that these theories are nonsense, and it is proven that they published it. And they have also published so many books on them. Gadsad, I talked about him already. And these are some classical scholars. So Tom Sowell is a very famous person. He is a black who grew up in a very poor black background, and then rose his way to become a professor in Berkeley and other places. Not Berkeley, he was in another Californian university. The name is not coming, it will come to my mind. So then, but then he is actually writing even then, and I think his books are very good on that. Jordan Peterson, he has written a book, 12 Rules of Life, and he has written also on these issues. There is Theodore Dalrymple. This is a British physician, but he has maybe experience of many thousands of interactions with many thousands of people, and he has shown how this liberalism and the doctrines, they are hurting the poorest the most. They are creating a bad world for the poorest, even though it is disseminated in the name of the hapless. So actually, it is the other way around. Nassim Nicholas Taleb, he has also written some books on these issues. May not be very straightforward, but he has some issues there addressed. And Rashi Ali, you might remember her. She was a Somali ex-Muslim who came to Mumbai a few years ago. And there's one interviewer, Barkha Dutt, and she was interviewing her. And whatever Harshi Ali is saying, she was just trying to universalize. Barkha Dutt was saying, well, you are saying against your experience. All religions are like that. And then Iron Hershey said, no, I am saying my experience. I am not saying that all everyone is like that. So that's not what it is. Now what happens in Iron Hershey, she cannot speak any American universities. If she goes to university, these demonstrators will come. They'll say we'll create trouble. Because we'll create trouble, nobody and the authorities will say stop it, and that is stopped. I think I'll stop here. I'll be happy to take your questions on that, on any particular issue. Thank you for listening.
I've been reading about cultural Marxism, and in the AI now, AI is dominant of this cultural Marxism discussions, and they have fixed their mind that uh, this is all humbug, this is all fake narrative created by the rightist people. As you said, it is a fake theory. Cultural Marxism is a fake theory. It doesn't exist. That is their position. So there were a lot of discussion and also some discussion about Kerala Marxists, how they dominate in each field. It's also a film field, theatre field, literature. Everywhere they dominate and they don't allow anybody else to come. So this is a very minuscule. In India, Kerala is nothing. Marxists are very small, very little people. But still, a big effect is there. Wind is blowing from America to India.
Exactly.
The CJI also is affected by it. The recent move to make the same-sex marriage shows that that wind is blowing here. So this current uh, topic of myth, Hinduism as myth, and also Hinduism should be eradicated. Such statements is coming out of this global agenda. So how we are going to stop it? And we have to be very alert. So that's what I wanted to know.
So I have a slide hidden. So I was waiting for this question. I didn't want to show you before being asked because this discussion is on cultural Marxism. What is happening that we have to understand something. That social science, sociology, economics, psychology, and some related disciplines, anthropology, a lot of the time, almost all the time, they came from a Christian way of looking at things, and then you also said that Protestant Christians and other things, and then it eventually became, it has come to us as a colonizing process, right? The British, they wanted this Macaulay, right? He wanted to destroy our education, and he wrote to his father. There's a letter by Macaulay to his father, Jack Macaulay. Thomas Macaulay is writing to his father, Jack Macaulay, 1836. The letter writes, we have to create an education so that this. So he said that Hinduism is so absurd religion, we cannot think about it. So we have to create this education so that these Hindus, they kind of get different. So we have to take it. So our Prime Minister, he said that we have to decolonize, right? In the last, not this one, last speech from Lal Killa, 15th August. We have to add more content to that. We have to create our own social science, which is much more science-based and much more experience-driven. And the aim of those social science is not to fracture the society, but to join the society. That is what we require. So we have these liberal values: diversity, inclusivity, equity. They are packaged in a very nice words, but actually these words are only. You see, sometimes in Ramayana there is a golden deer that came, right? Marich, as a Rakshas, right? Here, and then Sita was driven by that golden Hiran, and then everything, other tragedy happened, right? So these words are this golden deer. We see them, we think, oh, they are nice things they are saying, let's welcome them. And then they come with their theory, which is very intolerant. They do not tolerate any intolerance, that they are very divisive. So instead of diversity, inclusivity, equity, we should call it a divisive agenda. divisive agenda of colonization. That's what they are should. And so we have to promote our own values. What are our values? And this is told by everyone, from Mahabharata to Gautam Buddha, even Mahatma Gandhi. The Satya and Ahimsa. That is our values. These values has to be promoted. We have to create a new social science. And there's a lot of conservatives. They will actually help us. They are all seeking the answer. So in Japan, there are people who are very unhappy. In Europe, there are people who are unhappy. Israel, there are people who are unhappy. But then these people, we are not coming together. Left, they are all united, all across the world. But the conservative people are not united. Now someone has to take the lead. If we want to become the Vishwa Guru, right, India, we want to make it Vishwa Guru, knowledge capital, we have to take the lead. We have to create an alternative social science. So we should have an apex research center for Indic social science. And we have to look at everything: psychology, economics, political science, sociology, anthropology, cultural studies, literature, on Indic values. And we will not create any dogma. We will see something is applicable or not. You can give any theory to a society. Does it work? Does it create unity in society? Does it create ahimsa in society? Does it create satya in society? If it does not, you have to reject that theory. Because we want, you can make it, because there are two ways to go, right? I can take a knife and kill myself. Nobody is going to stop me. That's easy. But we not go. But should it be promoted, right? We should create a theory that helps the society to survive, to flourish, not destroy. So that is, we have to take lead. We are very divided. And second is the academy. What happens? You don't know them. So there are professors who are there in the academy. They are very articulate persons. They speak very well, but they are actually furthering their career. And because they are furthering their career, they do some nonsense when they publish something. But in the real world, when come to TV and everything, they'll pretend otherwise. So this is a deception they are using. So Rajiv Malhotra ji, he wanted to debate with many of the intellectuals in India, and he has said invitation. He said, "Come, let's debate. See whose idea is better." Open debate. There's nothing to be feared. Nobody came. Nobody came. Right? Romila Thapar, Ashish Nandi, all these people. Because why? Because they can hide in academy your paper. You write something very dense, very technical words. Common people cannot read it. This will be read by 5, 10 people who are actually your like-minded people, and they say it's a great work, and that's it. No one of us know, right, what is actually is. But you cannot hide between such things in a public debate. So that's why in our India there is a culture of public debate going on, right? So there are very different schools of thought. There is Kumaril Bhatta, who was actually reviving in some sense Sanatana, and he debated many of the Buddhist scholars, and he kind of defeated them in some sense. And then Kumaril Bhatta was again challenged, by Shankaracharya, right? I say he's the most, I think, most important Keralite. Yeah. But anyway, that's so. And but what happened then? So that culture is lost. We have to revive that culture of public debate so that you cannot hide behind this academic mask and things like that. Right? Then actually we should have a. This is what I was saying. So our dharma, we should not make it a religion. We make it it is a secular idea. What is that idea? We want a very sustainable socio-political environment. That's what we all want, right? All this environment and everything. So we have to create this center ourselves, and then go to other Japanese, Asian, or European universities and join them together. This is how we can create a global alternative center in India. It will take some investment, but then at the end of the day, it will give us our civilizational. We are proud that we are Vishwaguru for a long time, but to get back, we have to do this tapasya. Otherwise, nothing will happen. If we just mimic the West, nothing will happen. It will only go down like the West is going down. Then, of course, there are other issues. I mean, J. Sai Deepak talks about it a lot. I will not repeat much. But he says the jurisprudence, the entire jurisprudence, the law system, legal system in India, it is based on European ideas. And we should have to decolonize it. Because he is expert here, I think you can see his videos and other things. then of course we need a cultural movement as far as pop culture is concerned. So we should have more Indian dramas, right? So there are many Indian dramas that we don't know of. So for example, there are dramas written in 7th century where the heroine she's traveling from North India to South India in search of some knowledge. One woman is traveling from North India to South India. That's what the Sanskrit drama is all about. And there are so many Sanskrit dramas. We have to enact them modern versions and popularize it. So all the Sanskrit dramas are lost. This has to be revived. Computer games is a modern form of putting art. We are not trying it, we have to do it. Create music and other things. So essentially, we need a lot of things with the Indic colors, right? You have the arts, folk arts, you have the classical arts. These arts, they are dying, right? I have a son. I sent them to learn piano, this Western instrument. Why I don't send them to Indian class? Because the certification is very difficult. Western certifications are there each year, and it requires a lot of sadhana to do this Indian arts. So I, because certifications are not there, I don't know what how he will progressing or not doing not. You know, Western it is more uniform. So I'm guilty. I've taken the easy route. But most people are doing like me only, right? They are taking the easy route and our colors are dying. And that should not happen. Certifications and other things has to be created so that our arts are revived. We should have some kind of Indic Olympic, right? Olympics was a Greek, pan-Greek cultural festival. We should have some kind of a festival. Like we have this Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela was actually this kind of a very cultural grand scale festival. Now it has become a sort of like only religious thing. People take bath and they go home. I mean, there are some, cultivations happen, but very rare. So that cultural aspect has to be highlighted, and that must be done. And this is another thing. What happens if you are an elite? So I'm saying only grand ideas. Nitty-gritties, only I cannot do it. It has to be by many people joining hand together. But what happens when you are a kid from a very privileged society? Then what happens? You are taking your father's money. You going to go to school, and then someone then gives you these Marxist theories. You feel guilty. Because you feel guilty, to remove the guilt, you become much more Marxist than a Marxist, more uncle than uncle in the world, right? Something like that, and you become very much kind of social activist that we call this civic society kind of people. You say demonstrate, "No, everything is bad. This society has to work for." Why is it happening? Because we are not teaching them karma yoga. So if you go to our society, we have this tradition of karma yoga. That if you are an elite of the society, you have to do more in terms of tapasva, in terms of selfless karma. That tradition is lost. If you go to Ramayana, Ram did these 14 years of Banvas, right? Because his father said so. If you go to Mahabharata, this is a very not very highlighted tale, but it is there. So there's Arjuna and these five brothers, right? You know their wife was Draupadi. Then basically what happens? One day they are established their new kingdom in Indraprastha, and this bow, the Dhanush of the Arjuna, that was in the room of Yudhishthira. The Yudhishthira, there is a rule among the Pandav brothers that if someone is with Draupadi, other persons will not enter. Like something like knocking the room kind of thing, but will not enter there. Now what happens? One person came and said that my things are being stolen by the thieves. Please help me. And he kind of Arjuna actually entered the room and took the Dhanush and then chased the dacoits and get it back. Because he entered the room while Draupadi was with his brother, he said that I must do the penance. And then everybody tried to say, don't go. Yudhishthira said, don't go. All the Pandav brothers said, don't go. You say you have done for good things. Arjuna said, no. I am the elite. I am the Kshatriya. Kshatriya is not a caste. It's the sign of that I am the king and I am the elite. If I don't do this, what the other people will learn? They learn that the elite could conveniently seek some excuses and do that, and then they will not also do the right thing. I must do more than them. And he took a banvas of 12 years and he went around different Indian places. So this tradition is lost. Now we are sending our kids to good schools and everything, but there is no karma yoga. They are not all learning how to do selfless work without seeking anything. And that is why when they get these social theories, they are lost. and they are trying to be more communist than the communists, and this is a big problem. The educated class, this is happening all over the places. I was in a private university a few days ago, and I saw the same phenomenon. Lots of the kids from very elite family backgrounds, and they are all kind of saying all these kind of Marxist things, and they are hating the society. So I understand how this phenomenon is happening. Uh, so yes, this is kind of this is another thing. I mean, whether God is not there or not, we don't know. I'm almost an atheist probably. I'm probably an atheist than theist. But what I'm saying that God is to give you a purpose. That purpose is written in Gita, Karma Yoga. Do your best to serve the society without seeking anything. That tradition has to be revived. It cannot be done only in school, it has to be social movement. I know in RSS they have done also. But then RSS is a very small class organization so far. So greater society, the idea of Karma Yoga is not so much there, at least at the present moment. So this has to be revived more. I think that is the question.
What about Semitic religions and cultural Marxism?
So the Semitic religions, there is an issue. There are three Semitic religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Now, Judaism is little different than the other two.
How they deal with cultural Marxism?
How they are dealing with cultural Marxism.
Yeah.
So, if you look at these other religions, they are not also doing good. Christianity is almost gone. So, America was a very devout. Europe was completely Christian when the World War ended, right? Very much Christian. Now in Europe, Christian is a very few people do Christianity, and Christian values are almost lost. It's all cultural Marxism. In America, same thing is happening. The Republicans used to win because they used to be based on Christian values. Now, um, Christian values are kind of very in the backward. Nobody talks about church and other things. So
Okay.
I'm saying that the charts, whatever they are saying, they are also going down very much. They cannot deal with this phenomenon because I'll give you the simple reason that their Semitic religions, they did not have this kind of understanding of karma yoga. They did not have this kind of understanding of Satya and Ahimsa. They did not have. They have a similar kind of theory. You convert everybody and kind of be there. That's it. And they are going down. If you look at Israel, Judaism, that is a little different. Because it is about their national culture. They don't want to make other people Jews, right? It's a kind of a national culture. They want to pretend it, and that's what it is. But in Israel also, even though the currently right-wing party is in power, I don't think overall the state of Judaism is very good. I don't think Judaism is growing. So I'm trying to say that it is affecting all religion. But so my point is not about religion. My point is about the civilizational identity. And if that is lost, I mean, suppose we become another America, then we will disintegrate much faster than America. If we have to, this is what the Sri Aurobindo said, right? In Uttar Pradesh coming with him, we are discussing that our Indian nationalism, it is not European nationalism. It is based on Sanatan Dharma. And if that is lost, we are lost. Thank you for your patience.
No, no, thank you.